Studying Tips for Educators. Welcome to this online workshop. This is Ahmed Al-Hamada. This workshop was designed to help teachers adopt powerful learning strategies which lead to better student outcomes. These strategies can be applied to any subject. However, if you are looking for efficient methods to help your students learn better, this workshop is for you. Let's get started. This workshop has several learning objectives. Most of these objectives are intended to help students and instructors enhance learning process. By the end of this webinar, you will be able to define retrieval practice method and apply it to your classroom. Explain space-out practice approach and use it in your classroom. Define generation method and apply it to your classroom. Illustrate reflection method and use it in your classroom. Clarify interleaving method and employ it in your classroom. Most students use study strategies that are not effective, and this leads to poor outcomes. Students use these methods commonly because they are more intuitive and give learners a wrong sense of mastery. Nevertheless, in this online workshop, we are going to illustrate some of the most effective learning strategies. Retrieval practice means recalling information, such as concepts or facts, from memory without looking at any external resource. According to Brown, Rediger, and McDaniel, empirical examinations showed that retrieval practice is more effective than rereading materials. Therefore, testing your students helps them master a subject more than rereading the document several times. Nevertheless, Agrawal, Finley, Roos, and Rediger stated that retrieval practice helps students with lower working memory more than students with higher working memory. Why is retrieving practice powerful? Exerting more effort to remember old concepts or facts strengthens neural pathways and prevents forgetting. There is a positive relationship between the amount of effort and the strength of learning. When students try hard to recall facts, they need more effort than when they read notes or listen to lectures, and this leads to durable learning. Furthermore, retrieval practice helps both students and their instructors to discover students' weaknesses and their strengths. In other words, examine your students assists you to realize their strengths and weaknesses. Then you can take the correct response, such as altering your strategies or course materials. There are many ways you can incorporate this strategy. For instance, you can dedicate 10 minutes of each class time to test your students' understanding of the main ideas. To make this test more fun, you can make them contests between students, or you can use internet to create online quizzes which are appealing. Space-out practice means practicing material several times while leaving adequate time to forget helps learners to call them later. The amount of time that you should leave depends on the subject's type. If the information is easy to forget, you should make the gap short and vice versa. Why is spaced practice better? Brown, Rediger, and McDaniel stated that implanting new information in long-term memory needs a process of consolidation that takes time. Moreover, when you try to recall old knowledge, you have to make more effort to rebuild it. This process makes center ideas unforgettable and connects them to other information. Similarly, Flatch and Sanhofer illustrated that Spaced out studying sessions improves long-term learning more than master practice. In order to apply this strategy, you can set low-stakes exams that focus on old lessons. Another way you can incorporate this method is to include old and new materials in your students' homework, so they have to go back to previous lessons. However, it is important to include mastered materials into exams and give students thoroughly feedbacks. Mix up different subjects. This means teaching different but related subjects or skills at the same time. Unlike blocked practice, interleaved practice is robust because it increases the abilities of learners to discriminate between the various kinds of problems and choose the best solutions. There are many ways to use this approach. For instance, you can assign your students to find the relationship between previous and current subjects. Another example, you can ask them to make comparison charts between subjects to improve their ability to distinguish between similar materials. Generate a solution. Generation refers to the process of trying to provide a solution to a new problem or an answer to a new question rather than getting them ready. It's clear that this method requires learners to work harder than being taught directly. Remember that the more effort you make, the more durable learning you get. However, the benefits of this method are not only for students who can generate the correct answer, but also for students who cannot. When students try to solve a problem, they understand the situation better, and that helps them to grasp the solution. Instead of illustrating solutions to problems directly, give students opportunities to find the solutions themselves. Also, you can group students, then assign them different questions. However, it is vital to make your feedbacks very positive and praise their efforts rather than their smartness. Dweck stated that we should praise children's effort regardless of their conclusions. Reflect the new information. This means going back to previous experience, thinking about it profoundly, connecting it with other knowledge, evaluating your response, then finding how to improve your next response. Nevertheless, this strategy enhances our abilities to learn. To apply this technique, you can assign your students to write a paragraph about the lesson. This paragraph should have the main ideas, why are they important, and how we can use them in real life. Use mnemonic devices. Mnemonic devices are powerful tools to help you encode and recall concepts or facts by connecting them to images, words, or sentences. For instance, to remember the order of the planets, you can recite, "My very educated mother just served us 9 pickles." To incorporate this method, you can group your students and assign them to create mnemonic devices for different facts. Then reward the team who created the best device. Illustrate how to study. Psychologists Brown, Rediger, and McDaniel illustrated that many students do not know how to study because they are not taught that, or they learned inefficient methods. Therefore, they need to be guided to the best strategies. To help your students, at the beginning of each semester, you can give a lecture that illustrates the powerful learning strategies, such as retrieval practice, space-out practice, and generation. In summary, this online workshop provided several learning tips for teachers to improve their process of teaching inside their classrooms. Whenever teachers improve their learning strategies, the students' outcomes become better, Additionally, this workshop illustrated different suggestions of implementations. Thank you for watching.